And thank you so much for joining us for the inaugural exhibition of Stitching the People's History. And we are so excited about this project and excited to have you here. Um, and you're gonna have to applaud one more time because this exhibit would not be possible without the dedication of the quilters who poured their imagination and talents into creating portraits of 12 remarkable people.
Amen.
So we're gonna have to use our outside voices because we were so busy, getting the quilts up, getting the food together, we forgot about the sound system. So, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you will have an opportunity shortly to hear from the quilters, but a little bit about the why behind this exhibition. Why stitch the people's stories? Why stitch the people's history? Why single out particular individuals to shine a light on and focus on their works? Well, as all of you know, we live in unsettling times, a time in America when books are banned, history has been revised, whitewashed, and erased, especially the experiences and contributions of Black people and other people of color. So again, why stitch the people's history? Because we have the power to tell our stories. Our needles are our ink pens, and our fabric is our paper. We learn from oral histories a variety of perspectives, not just about the individuals honored here, but also about the broader context that led them to action, to seek justice, to change the status quo. So we dug into the archives, we pulled out bits and pieces of information, which we then treated as thread to hold our stories together, just like making a quilt, sewing the 3 layers together. We are quilters who are now historians, telling stories of stories of stories. We stitch the people's history because we're quilters who wrestle with the now and the past to make new meaning. When we looked into the lives of the 12 individuals in this exhibition, we found some common themes: elevating community improvement and health, fighting for justice, the compelling draw of Soul City, the power of faith, and simply put, style. So, there's some folk we have to thank before we hear from the quilters, because we had a lot of help to get this project going. A lot of help. And they're not going to mention my name, but I'm going to mention some more folks' names. Dr. Micheline Molson, who's not here with us this afternoon, from Living the Word Justice and Equity Ministry, she laid the foundation for this project. She told us, if we're going to do justice work, we have to have artists and we have to have art involved. So we definitely have to give a shout out for Micheline. Thank goodness for the North Carolina Arts Council. They caught the vision, and Warren County government became the conduit for their support. The Heritage Quilters Giving Circle, that's our little nonprofit, and Duke Energy Foundation pitched in, and Jeanette Stokes and the Resource Center for Women in Ministry in the South provided encouragement at every stage of this endeavor and brought us some wonderful fans to share with you. You'll get those later. We were fortunate to have 2 wonderful coaches. First, North Carolina's Poet Laureate, Jackie Shelton Green. She was our writing coach. And we had renowned quilt artist, Sauda Zara. Sauda, please go on. Now, I have to say, Sauda was our portrait quilt coach, but she was also our you can do this coach. The process required a lot of steps, and Candace Thomas, digital and graphic artist and art quilter, was there every step of the way. Where's Candace? And Crystal Myrick worked tirelessly as our media specialist. As Crystal, creating innovative ways to promote this project. And thanks again to the quilters who worked together to get these quilts done, especially Gail Richardson. Where's Gail? And Belinda Rakowski. They worked on all of the quilts, almost. And we have a new best friend. She is not here, I don't think. Juliandra Gaylord, I don't think she is here, but she quilted a lot of the quilts on the long arm machine. Yes. And we have to make a special applause for our engineering specialist, Sterling rigged up a photo shoot station in our workroom so that we could take photographs of these quilts, and then he's responsible for doing all of this work that you see on the wall. So lastly, we had to talk to a lot of people, and community historians, Jenny Ann Franklin was one of them. Jenny, she's in the back there. I must have asked Jenny a million questions. The last being, was Thomas Haywood the first black doctor in Warrenton? And yes, he was. That was the last one. He was the first black. Other folk like Carolyn Ross Holmes, Hazel Blunt, Ruth Howard Chambers, and Mrs. Eva Clayton were all so generous with their time and knowledge. Thanks to our Warren County Memorial Library staff, especially David Spence, who helped us find the newspapers, the books, and other resources for this project. And thank you all. Imani Spivey is one of our newest members. You need to stand up, Elijah.
Hello.
And she's going to help to moderate this group of us. But first, we would like for the quilters to introduce themselves and to say the person that they honored with their portrait quilt. And there are two questions. Don't shy away. Don't
The microphone.
It's just a microphone. There are two questions.
Ready to run.
There are two questions. The questions are, what were the challenges? Now you'll name the person that you did, the challenges in this project, and what were the rewards? So that's what we will all very quickly respond to. Okay. Can you stand up, Margaret?
She's gonna sit really.
There you go.
Okay. I'm Margaret Woods Bullock, and my portrait is of Dolly Burwell, who is known as the mother of environmental justice. And my biggest challenge was just getting the colors like a puzzle, putting them back together, different. I just didn't think I was gonna be able to do this. I just did not. And I was coached, and I ended up. I like it. Don't it look like it?
Yes.
She's living, so I didn't want to disappoint her at all. And that's my reward was I ended up finishing her, and it looks like Dolly. Nice.
That's right.
My name is Leo Kelly, and my family portrait is of Andrea Harris, the late Andrea Harris. I think that what's the question? What is
The challenges and rewards.
The challenge for me was, ladies, putting the damn thing together. Because there were so many pieces to it. When we got ready to start doing it, I was amazed at Jerry would say, you know, see this shadow, you see this, you see it. I didn't see any of that stuff. And so my challenge was to come out with this and everything. So really, that was the challenge in terms of making, because when I started putting together, I've never seen so many pieces. I'd like to redo one again of my granddaughter, but it will not have as many pieces as that particular one have. I'm gonna make it simple the next time, but that was the challenge for me in terms of doing this. I'd known the artist the person I did was Andrea Harris. Andrea, and I go back to Innocence back to 1962. So it was really, you know, I had a connection with Andrea. And the rewarding part was the end product. The reward to me was the end product and everything. So I was pleased how it came out and everything. And I think we talked about Jerry, and one of the things we talked about in terms also of the end product, that Jerry Ann made us dig within ourselves and made us do things that we thought we never could do, along with Saud and everything. And that was my reward.
Thank you. You have to rock it.
I'm the thorn between two roses.
Hi, my name is Doris Terry Williams, and I did Gillis Cheek. And I chose Dr. Cheek because he was the first principal of Warren County Training School, which was the first high school for blacks in this region, actually. And I was in the last graduating class of that school. The name, of course, changed, thank goodness. But I chose him because of the amazing things that he was able to accomplish. He was born in the late, am I talking too long? 1800s. So on the cusp of Reconstruction, but into squarely into Jim Crow, and also into the beginnings of the civil rights movement, the late 60s, the early 60s. And so the things that he went through and what he was able to accomplish just inspired me. And that was my reward for actually doing this, because I've talked about him to people, to classes from Chapel Hill and other places. But actually doing this, I felt closer to him, because I had to look at every little, you know, wrinkle, every little cranny in his face. And I'm a novice quilter. So before this, I had only done one little, I call it a quiltlet, my whole life. So when Jerry asked me to do this, I told her that's way above my skill level. So my reward, as everybody else has said, is just getting it done. So
hello everyone, my name is Thomas Park, and Doc said she was a novice, so I don't know what I was. I was asked to join the group.
Hold the mic close, I'll move.
I was asked to join the group, and this is
Not that close.
I was asked to join the group, and this is actually my first quilt. I have Dr. Julian Haywood down here, and I was actually going to do Dr. Haywood, who I was named after. And one of the things I found out was that startled or amazed me was how much digging we had to do to find some of the information on people that you might think the information was available for. So it turns out I ended up, I couldn't find on Dr. Haywood Sr., so I took Dr. Julian Haywood. And the thing that really amazed me were, I was like, boy, they could teach a class about all of these people at the college level. But the thing that amazed me most about him that I didn't know living here was his pioneering in the medical field. He made the first digital heart monitoring machine back in the 1960s. Actually, to be specific, maybe 67, when things were very, very difficult. The ceiling was very, very difficult for black medical people to break through. But he made this digital heart machine that operated in the ICU on the hall, so the doctors would have instantaneous information about the patients on the ward. He also did groundbreaking research on black medical issues, hypertension among black people. I mean, he knew that our physiologies were alike, but he knew that we were a little bit different in some areas. So he did so much pioneering, and there's so many other things I could say about him. I was really happy to be among these people and hear all of the little histories going around in the room, especially Leo. And I was like, this is a lot of parts. This is a lot of pieces. When he would be kvetching in the next room. I mean, no, and it was just this really wonderful learning process. I'm totally enriched by it. I was able to talk to my students about it, and what I really like about this is it slows down the process. You can't AI any of this. You can't. It slows down the process of learning and teaching and making. Every stitch counts. All these things I heard from Gia, every stitch, every color, every cut, it all counted. I really thank you for.
So that was your reward. You proved what you said about you. That was your reward.
What was the other thing?
The challenge. The challenge.
The challenge was finishing.
Finishing.
The
right?
challenge was finishing. People asked, I said, well, I probably have 200 hours or so in my quilt, at least. So the challenge was finishing, and finishing, get to the finish line with these people. Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Sterling Cheston, and the person that I chose for my quilt is Dr. James Green, which is the quilt.
It looks just like him, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes, you do.
So I'm gonna skip to that's one of my rewards. People, more than one person has said that looks just like it.
Yes, you do.
And challenge for me, as some have said, is for me was sticking with it. And I remember Sauda said one time, I overheard her telling other quilters, trust the process. The process is like a booklet of like, I don't know how many pages, and there are a lot of different steps, but when you're working closely with it in the detail level, this doesn't look like Dr. Green. You know, that's what I was thinking. And it really, and you kind of have to look at it, and it really didn't start looking like him until way deep into the process. So that was my challenge. But the reward is also just doing the research about his profile and his life. I just chose him just automatically because when I was growing up, he was our family doctor. He was my doctor. I said, okay, I have a connection to this person, I'll choose him. That was all I knew about. Right. But as I did the research, I learned a lot more. He was a North Carolina legislator, he was a businessman, he was an entrepreneur. He was instrumental and influential in changes here in Warren County. Yes. I interviewed Jenny Franklin and Dr. George. Dr. George says that Dr. Green is the reason that he is here in this area because Dr. George was recruited from somewhere to come to Warren County, and he's still here. The person who recruited him is Dr. Green. So, so that's it. And my another reward is when we open the doors at 5 o'clock, seeing all of you come in here, and yeah, and everyone is happy and smiling, and that's cool. Amen. All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Falani Spivey, and I would say Sally and I found each other. I was assigned to her, but I was assigned to her because Sally Bullock has a similar story, like my third great grandmother, whose name was Winnie Satterwhite, who was enslaved in Dexter, North Carolina, in Oxford. And so Sally, I have just grown so much with Sally. She's just become like a grandmother to this quilt. So she was enslaved in Warren County, and she bore 7 children with the son of the slave master, Leonard Bullock. And shortly after emancipation in 1868, she was deeded 400 acres. And with that land empowerment, she divvied up the land to to all of her children and donated a parcel of the land to Oak Chapel, which still stands in the Oak Level Chapel. Thank you. I know some of her descendants are in the building because they're vast, so I want to get all my facts straight. All of our minds have been boggled with pieces and threads and just history and so much. So I'm just honored to do this quilt in honor of Sally Bullock, and I hope the family is pleased with how she turned out. I'm empowered by her story and land ownership and how she looked forward to securing her legacy through the land ownership. So thank you. Oh, challenges. The challenges were all of those pieces, once we laid them down and stuck them down, I didn't know it had to be stitched on with the sewing machine. So I was like, okay, this is tedious, but this is fun. And then they said, now you gotta stitch that stuff on. And so some of them pieces were small. My portrait doesn't have as many pieces as some of the others because some of the vintage and older photographs kind of had like a airbrush effect to them.
Right.
So some of the images were more recent, so they were more detailed. So mine doesn't have as many pieces, but it was still a challenge stitching those eyes and everything together. And my favorite part of the quilt is the corduroy hair. I just love it. I think it's very darling. And I just love bringing Sally to life. And I put this on. It's falling down, but I just imagined that when she went to go pick a summer squash or a tomato, she put something on her hair and everything and went out. And the reward was, of course, seeing it all come together. It was unbelievable. I can't believe I stitched. I had a lot of, the thread would pop and I would get so frustrated. I had a lot of moments where I just had to get up, go eat a snack, come back to it, go to talk to some of the other quilters. We've been in the mud together since January. So thank you so much, Sauda. Thank you so much, Gary. Both of you all's guidance. We could not have gotten this done without y'all. Thank you.
Can I share something?
No.
Yes. I want to share with you, Belinda Mack and I had brought a quilt back to me, my quilt back one evening to my house. And when she brought it, I had company at my house that particular evening and everything. So Belinda and I started to share with the company what we were doing with the Heritage Quilters. So the young lady that was visiting us and everything, we showed them your quilt, what you were doing. And the young lady, that gives me chills right now, the young lady said, when she looked at it, she said, that's my great-grandmother, 4 times removed. Wow. She lives on Andrews Avenue now. Her name is Sandra Revis, I think, and everything. But that was unique in terms of sharing that information. And when she looked at it, she says, that's my great-great-great-grandmother.
Wow.
And of course, Mr. Leo took a picture of the lady and she looked smack on like Sally. I said Sally's spirit is definitely living on and her legacy continues.
And there may be some other folk in here who are descendants of Sally Bullock. From Margaret is.
My grandchildren.
Your grandchildren, that's right.
My children.
And Doris, you may have.
Plantation, my great-grandmother was also on Louisville plantation.
Right. And I know my husband is a descendant, Bernard Johnson, Ida Johnson, on the Carrolls. They're descendants of Sally Bullock. It's a great memory. So I did, I did Ernest Turner, who is back here. And I also did Ella Baker. There are 11 of us, and I thought, well, I'll do an extra one so that we'll have 12. But my joy, my reward was really learning, getting the history of Ernest Turner straight. Ernest Turner grew up out in the Inez community, in the, Jenny, what? Fall, in the Fall community. And, he was just a person that was bent on justice. And I was drawn to him because he sued the Warren County School Board to desegregate Warren County schools, and later served on the school board as the chairman. So that was one of the things, I was just really curious about that history. He was a businessman, he was a partner with with Turner, and Harris and Turner Fuel Home. And he was also appointed to the Board of Elections here in Warren County. But there's a lot to say about Ernest Turner. And then my second quilt was Ella Baker, who has roots here in Warren County. She was born in Norfolk, but her family roots are out in the Elam community. And I have always admired Ella Baker, and I've always been drawn to that photograph of Ella Baker. So this was just an opportunity to do, to really do that. And the quote is one of my favorite. You know, we cannot rest. And Margaret always tells us we need to rest, but until freedom, until we have freedom. So my reward was, you know, getting it done, and the challenge was just making sure that folks saw in themselves the capacity and the strength to get this work done. Okay, that's it.
Good afternoon. My name is Hassan Abdeen, and I did the Honorable Eva Clayton. I was very impressed with Miss Clayton when I had I guess you could say, up close encounter with her, and she was doing a presentation, and just to see the senators and people, how they just respected her and admired her, and the wisdom that she gave out, and that really impressed me. So it had me doing a deep dive into the whole history of what she had done. And most of her time was spent in the Congress, in the agriculture department. And what I did was the fruits and vegetables. That's one of her biggest things. She does a lot with food security and nutrition. So that's why I have that board going up. My biggest challenge was thinking that it wasn't good enough, and thinking that if she see it, will she like it? You know, that it really liked her, and that was my fear. And sometimes I would just have to put it down for a couple of days, then come back to it. But the pleasure was actually completing the process, and I'm satisfied.
Yeah, my name is Gail Richardson, and my portrait is of Floyd McKissick. What can you say about Floyd? So much. My challenge was basically there's so much information. I ended up with, and didn't even finish, with 5 pages of information. His daughter, who is here today, is here, and I called on her. She was so gracious and helped me every step of the way. Every time I had a question, I could call her, and she would give me the facts. And he, just to mention a couple things, that he was definitely a civil rights activist, and the founder of Soul City. And I tried to incorporate as much of his legacy, his history as I could. I have the Soul City sign, which means looking out the window and seeing and pleased with Soul City, and go through the alphabet with everything that he's accomplished. Author, activist, attorney, judge, just on and on. So I tried to incorporate as much of that as I could. Also, he was the pastor of the Soul City Baptist Church. So I incorporated in the quilting the Baptist stand. The Magnolia, which was his mother's name. I did the backing of the quilt is in Magnolia. So what can you say about what you can say? A lot. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Alston Kearney, and I took on the challenge of doing Valeria Lee, who is also still alive, and I also had the trepidation of wondering if I could make it look anywhere close to what she is. But I chose Valeria because she is just a role model that I have clung to in all of my professional career, especially in the nonprofit arena, and just have watched her assert her leadership. Of course, her connection to Warren County, that she grew up here, but also WVSP. She was a founder of WVSP, a public radio station, the first in North Carolina run by African Americans, and it had a 12-year stint here in the community. But there is so much more, and what I've learned in being in association with Valeria and researching the history of some of her accomplishments is that she is a visionary. She can look at what's in front of her and see that, but she can see much more. And that was affirmed to me in the testimonials of some of the others who were associated with WVSP as teenagers. And Steve Hyman in particular rattled off probably a half dozen names of young people who Valeria drew into the work at the radio station and who are now still engaged in broadcast, in the arts, in all kinds of work, and where they got their start, right here in little old Warren County at that little public radio station, which Valeria says, you know, they didn't have a clue about, you know, how to do it, but they never doubted that it could be done. And if it could be done anywhere, it could be done here. And, you know, the rest is history. The challenge for me was finding time to work on the quilt, to sit long enough to get a vision of what I wanted it to look like, what I thought would bring her honor, and figuring out how to just keep working, keep plugging away at it until we got it done. And the reward, of course, is as I think about some of her accomplishments, many of them are already fading, you know, in terms of the public consciousness. For example, one of her last biggest professional accomplishments was she was the founding chief executive officer of the Golden Leaf Foundation. You know, she was the first one. She built that building in Rocky Mount, you know. And I don't know how many people know that or remember that, but it has to be remembered, right? And so I appreciate being a part of this project.
Hello, I'm Belinda McAlston. I really appreciate seeing everyone that came out today to support us and see our show. Mine is Jane Baldwin. I can identify with Jane Baldwin because I call it Jane's journey. She's an adventurous spirit. She started off in New York, so did I, and she ended up in North Carolina, so did I. She's looked at in time, and she does a really, really remarkable job with genealogy. You know, most of you all know all about her Soul City adventure, being right hand with Lloyd McKissick, but she has continued to recreate and evolve in different ways as an entrepreneur and as the author of several of her books. And one of the things that I really became close to her, because we all are different seasons in life. And so as my season comes upon in the 60s, she really started a nice little group here at the library, and she started something called Golden Journeys. And it's a wonderful thing because it was a bunch of people of various ages. And she's like, okay, well, we now have something else to do in life. Let's start doing some line dancing. Let's start doing a vegetable garden in Soul City. Let's make sure we continue to share the wisdom that we know with others and show them that just because you get older doesn't mean you have to stop. So I'm a firm believer in that, and that is what she is. She's inspiring She's like a little stick of dynamite. She's a petite little person, but she carries a big stick and a lot of knowledge. And she is so willing to share, inspire, and encourage anyone that's willing to listen. So that is what is so inspiring to me. My challenge is, as they said, when you're doing someone who is still here, looking at you, looking at them, you really want to do them justice. And so I liked some of the prints that was, she has pastel color, and I like that color for her. The picture that I actually took, she has on a yellow suit. But we turned it into blue because one of the things that Jerry asked me about her as an artist and as a quilter, she was like, when you see Jane, what colors come to mind? And one of the colors was blue because she's peaceful. But she can be spicy, but she's peaceful. And so when I was looking for colors for her, that was one of the things that I found. And I was just so pleased because it's not just a quiet blue, it's got a little fire to it. So it's kind of got a little electric blue. So that made me very happy, and so everything else started falling into place. And her hair, anybody who knows her, she wears her headband, and her hair just likes to fly and do its own thing. I don't have a problem, I take care of that. We had to find some hair, and so one of the things, Jerry's like, oh, it's okay. I was like, no, she has to have hair. And so I went and I found some trim from a upholstery place. And I took the trim apart and I wanted to represent the strands of her hair that moved. So that gave me a lot of inspiration. And the funky glasses, of course, that's, one of her tell signs. People who know, that's the first thing they said is, that's the glasses. So that made me very pleased to be able to see that we got that. She likes scarves. But what was the touching part was one of the last things that I did was years ago, that's how we really met Jane, as she started doing the Stitch and Life Stories, which is a book we did all together in the Heritage Quilters. That was the first edition. And she had to do a quilt. So now she knows our struggle. So we assisted her with getting her quilt together. And when I finally pulled something out, I was like, oh, her quilt is blue, and it matched everything that was just serendipity.
Yes, sir.
Just went together with what I had already. So it was just like, that's a peaceful feeling. That's like, okay, it's okay. You did well. So the struggle was, we're trying to work with everyone and then complete your project. And some of us are more procrastinators than others. So when you step up to the game, you just let your creative spirit flow. And you have to get it done. So thank you.
Jerry,
Yes.
I know, I want to say one thing. And Jerry, I want you all, as you all walk around and look, I'm amazed at the ladies, how they took these portraits and made clothes for these people.
Oh, yeah.
Look at I'm amazed at how they took the cloth, and they look at Doris's picture right here. She actually made this suit from something from the thrift shop in terms of making the suit. Jerry Ed had a coat that I liked, and I said, Jerry, I want that coat. She came to the thrift shop. I want that coat. I went to the thrift shop and found a boy's coat and a blue tie and came to Jerry and made it. So I'm just amazed to look at the one with the lady, the bullet lady, in terms of lace around the collar. I'm just amazed at how they put clothes on these folks and made them look realistic. Amen.
Well, we did have a lot of fun. It was very challenging, but it was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time in thrift shops. Now, since you mentioned that, with Mr. McKissick's suit, we basically made the suit, and his little turtleneck. We made that out of an old sweater. So yeah, that was a real challenge. We had to put those lapels together. We found the suit and made a pattern. So anyway, but so what we want to do now is hear questions from the audience. We have some questions that we were going to respond to, but let's hear what questions you have. And you have to use your outside voice. Okay.
Wonderful display. Thank you. My question is, what's next? Will you be replicating these images in products like posters and postcards that will be beneficial to your organization?
Well, we thought about doing some note cards with the quilt images. There were 41 names on the list originally of people to honor with this process. So sometimes, well, I don't know. We'll see. You know, there are people we want to do, like Ruth Russell Williams from Vance County, the artist. And then there's, was it Thomas Bruce from Shiloh Institute, John Plummer from the Hook and Ladder Fire Company. They're just, you know, Warren County has such a rich history and so many outstanding individuals. So I don't know if we will do that right now. I'm not. I mean, Jenny Franklin is also on that list. Doris Terry Williams is on the list.
You can start taking over
George
tonight.
Cosmos George is on the list. So I don't know where we will go, but
George.
oh wait, Veronica. Let me just also acknowledge our sisters from the African American Quilt Circle in Durham. Oh, please stand. Yeah. Okay, Veronica, then we can ask you a
So
question.
you said you had 41 names. What started this project? Who were those 41 people that you put on the list, and what made you want to do this project?
Well, I think, well, we wanted to do the project mainly to address this issue of history and the erasure of African American history. That was the main reason. And we started by just generating names of history makers and change leaders from our community. Jenny contributed a bunch, and we sat with ourselves and came up with names. And so we thought if we could do these quilts, that we could take them to other places and we could talk about this history. We also do work in the schools, so we could take these quilts to the school and the kids. And one other thing that I have been thinking about, Bill, is a curriculum for school-age kids with movements. So, yeah.
George.
Jerry, can I also just, I've been talking to Jerry and trying to encourage her to go on and start another round of this. So public pressure might help.
Yeah. Maybe recruit some of us, we can make quilts.
But what I wanted to say especially though is that I was attracted to this project not just because it was Warren and Vance County history, because when you look around at these history makers, it's not just Vance and Warren County. You're talking history makers for the entire country and in many instances for around the world. So our history that's been gentrified, right, and changed and everything, if we don't document it ourselves, it's not going to, it isn't going to, our kids aren't going to know it.
That's right.
Okay, and if they don't know their history, well, we know where that goes. But when I looked around, I said, Floyd McKissick, you know, all of these people, the whole history of slavery that, you know, folk are trying to tell us that it wasn't a bad thing, you know. They taught us certain skills so we could make money and all of that stuff. And so if we don't do it, and if we don't appreciate the fact that out of these soil, you know, came change makers, not just for local things, but that impacted the whole. Yeah, thank you. So press on Jerry to do another round.
That is so true. So we have a question here from Michael Lane, and then we will hear from Audrey, and then from Lisa. Okay.
I understand that each of you collected and created stories or a history. Did you write those all down?
Yes.
So do you? In other words, I see books with the pictures and the stories and the histories. You know what I mean?
It's in the works. It's in the works. It's in the works. We were challenged with some time issues, but all of the stories are written, and so we will have a catalog to
Our fierce leader made sure that we had a story.
So yes, we have that.
And they will be for sale.
Yes, yes. Audrey,
I don't know,
Stand
but I
up.
didn't hear.
stand up, Audrey. You know we can't hear you. You gotta listen.
I didn't hear, so how long did it take you all to go and do these portraits? And how did you come up with the idea? I don't know whether you said that and I didn't hear it.
We started in January working on these portraits. Yes, we had our first workshop in this room with Sauda. And we were all looking kind of cross-eyed at these photographs that Candace and Sauda had, you know, given us as the basis for starting these quilts.
But when
So-
did you start the research?
We started the research in September.
Right, right.
Yeah, of last year, yeah. We started the research from, and so you asked, why did we do this? Well, I think Doris gave a good, you know, explanation as to why this is important. But I had seen another exhibit of portrait quilts at Wilson Temple United Methodist Church in Raleigh. And Sauda had worked with that group of folk. And so that was, when I left there that day, I said, you know, we really have to do this in Warren County. Now, I had that on my mind for some time, but that was the thing that really, you know, that made me say we have to go on. And those were women, significant women from Wake County. Right. So, anyway, well, hold on a minute, Mark, let me get Lisa.
Speaking of apparel,
Okay, come in, Lisa, and talk now to you.
Speaking of apparel, I could definitely see any of these prints made into clothing.
Oh,
When I went to Savannah over the weekend, I saw in some of the vintage shops, they had painters turn their paintings into dresses. And it was so beautiful. I would be the first to wear it. Anyway.
And Michelle Obama.
Yes.
Yeah, she had her mother's image on her
So
shirt.
definitely,
Yes.
fair idea. I like that.
Margaret?
Yeah.
The question was, what was inspiring? What inspired you to do this? My 7-year-old granddaughter, in her speech to her class, said that she wanted to be an environmentalist. And I tried to figure out, well, what in the world? You don't know nothing about no environmental. You ain't even in the first grade. Can you read and write? Okay. She can, and she's here today. And I was able to show her a woman, a black woman, who took the challenge of going forward with environmental justice. And so she was my inspiration, and she's here today. And she gets to see that. She's had an opportunity to meet Miss Burwell, Dolly Burwell, in person. And Dolly is also a member of the United Church of Christ, which I am also a part of.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
How do we support your work?
Pardon me?
How do we support your work?
Oh, well, you can support your work with a donation to the Heritage Quilters Giving Circle, for sure. You can go to our website, which is www.heritagequilters.net. And there are QR codes on these little descriptions of the quilt. You can click on those, and that will take you to the website, and you will see that donate
Is that
button.
on the back of this?
Yes, and it's on the back of the program. See, now that's an example of like Crystal's magic, you know, because we would be walking around with like, and trying to pick up some checks. And Crystal has, you know, she's brought us right up to, you know, 21st century. Candace has a question.
So, once your catalog is ready, if we are interested in purchasing it, how can we do that?
Well, if you just stay in touch with us, we will.
You have a mailing list here today?
And we have the sign-in sheet. We have the sign-in sheet, and we will send notice out, we'll email everybody and let them know that the catalog is ready. So, and I think you will enjoy it. Now, I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna have to do something with me.
I want to say on behalf of the Heritage Quilters and all of you that came out today, that this was made possible by the inspiration in terms of the vision that that Jerry Ann had. This could not have been done if she had not pushed us. And like I said in my presentation, Jerry Ann made us dig deep in ourselves and made us do things that we didn't think we were able to do. So on behalf of the Heritage Quilters, Jerry Ann, and the people that came out today, we thank you for all you put in the work.
Always goes up.
So we're giving her roses now, okay?
So with that said, if there are no other questions, please enjoy there's still some little samples of the peach cobbler that Mrs. Denise Allen from Sweet Delights provided. So please get those, and we still have, I think, a few of those Jamaican beef patties back there. So check those out.
The show is through Sunday.
And the show is through Sunday, tomorrow from 10 to 2 here at the library. If you want to come, we'll be here. You can talk with us, some of us, and we'll be here Sunday from 1 to 5. So please feel free to come.
Spread the word.
And spread the word. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.